Is you have leaders in Chicago that see this, as you say. We've been reading about this for years now, every weekend, and maybe crime has gone down. But, we had the mayor of Chicago on last week saying, oh, we don't need any more police officers. Police officers aren't the answer. No police officers. I think he said no 5 times. You look what's happening this weekend. You look so, I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, and I know, you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police you can do that in D.C., you can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. We would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the sort of balance of federalism between the federal government and the state government. And let's work together to save lives. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity. It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning on Washington, and that is seeing politicians creating partnerships that protect their people.
What is to stop that, Ben?
I mean, I think that, to be fair, the exertion of more power by the executive branch has been an ongoing process for the course of the last 20 years minimum. And you saw the Obama administration declare national emergencies, something like 12 national emergencies under President Obama, something like 9 under Joe Biden. Now you've had President Trump declare a wide variety of national emergencies. This isn't a unilateral problem. I think it is a bilateral problem. With that said, I think that we should separate a few strands here. One is the legal that Eli was talking about. One of the other things here, though, is I think what Van was referring to, which is President Trump does have a habit of wrong-footing his political opponents in a unique way on this sort of stuff. There were 574 murders in Chicago last year. And you can make the argument, I think a plausible argument, that National Guard troops should not be on the ground enforcing crime, both legally and just as a matter of general policy. But if the position you end up taking is that there is no serious crime emergency in Chicago on a rhetorical level, not on a legal level, on a rhetorical level, or you make the case that actually crime in Chicago just isn't that big of a deal, which seems to be the mistake that many Democratic politicians are making right now, Trump is going to win that battle all day long. I
mean, I hear you, but I also think there is the rhetorical level, which we could focus on. But I mean, I also want to focus on the reality, like the actual things that are happening. And even to that point, I mean, voters are not, I think we treat voters as stupider than they are. Mm-hmm. You ask them in polls and they say, we think crime is a problem. We don't like the way Trump is handling it in the way that he is sending the National Guard. They want Trump to do more about crime. They don't necessarily want him to send troops to cities. So voters can handle these topics.
All right, folks, what's up? It is Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Shelly E. And back tonight, after a while of being on here, is Logic from Just the Guys podcast right here on YouTube. How are you all doing tonight?
Okay.
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, folks, we've got a full show for you tonight. Before we light this fire, do your part, tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We're live here on YouTube and Rumble. If you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat, so drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, everybody, let's set it off. Okay, so tonight, buckle up. We're diving into last night's explosive CNN showdown where conservative powerhouse Ben Shapiro went head-to-head with Abby Phillip. And folks, he torched every last one of them. Between him and Scott Jennings, it was a bloodbath. So of course they were talking about President Trump's aggressive crime crackdown and a couple of other different topics. So from Chicago's spiraling murder rates to DC's plummeting crime stats since President Trump federalized the police, Ben Shapiro didn't hold back. I mean, it was like this man is a machine. Whether you like him or not, he just made them look like fools. But the big question, is this a winning issue for President Trump or a political trap for Democrats that are blindly walking right into it? Want to get your thoughts on that exchange that opened the show, Shelley. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. To your question, I think it's both. It's a political trap for Democrats, and it's going to be a win for President Trump. These people are now in this, precarious position of having to basically appear, quote unquote, as if they are defending crime. Governor Pricker walking in Chicago. Security all the way off camera, of course. Where he was walking, there's not much crime. But I think what he said, Chicago had over 500 murders in 1 year. We had a time when Baltimore, when we had 300 or more for about 8 consecutive years. When these politicians, they are telling you where their priorities lie. And apparently they're not the citizens under their care.
Yeah. Logic, again, joining us from Just the Guys podcast, folks. Just the Guys podcast is our brother station right here on YouTube. Logic, what are your thoughts on this?
First off, I just like the way Ben Shapiro, kind of breaks things down. I don't know how he does it, but it's a brilliant way to articulate a message. So what he to your question, like, Trump is doing both, right? When we say, is it a winning issue for Trump? Trump doesn't care about winning per se, because he's not going to run again or anything like that. But, he's on the side of America, right? America is winning. And then as far as the Democrats, I mean, this is like the Democrats just not able to say, Dad, you're right. And they want to die on this hill of hate Trump. But what you're really seeing, particularly from the media, is this 1984 effect, where what we say is true and don't believe, your lying eyes. And at a certain point, it doesn't work, except in cities like Baltimore, where you have a hive mind and these people just still kind of go along with it. But also, I want to make the point, too, that the way the media narrative that we talk about crime in these cities, we talk about crime rates. So that oftentimes diminishes the value of one life, right? When you think about one life being murdered, or a crime rate being, it's down to 3 per 100,000, right? That's a completely different view. When you talk about the number of lives, right? So 500 lives lost in Chicago, and Chicago's a city of about 3 million people, right? When you think about that, the murder rate isn't that high. But when you think about this as an individual life, right? One is too many.
Right. Exactly. Logic. And as you mentioned, I mean, this is what they want us to get to. They want us to get to a desensitized rate where we see 300 murders, we see 500 murders, and we're thinking, it's just a big city. This is what happens in a city, when it's not the case. I mean, in 2023, Chicago recorded over 600 homicides. Just over Labor Day weekend, the city saw 58 total shootings, 8 fatal, 50 were non-fatal. So, I mean, if we saw 50 shootings, and we would categorize that as a mass shooting. And now, these Democrat leaders are like, they're stating, it's not a big deal, And speaking of that, again, and believe it or not, Chicago is not even in the top 5 right now currently, as you mentioned, when you look at population size. So I think, what was it, back in 2023, they weren't in the top 5 of cities. Right now, I believe they are. As of 2024, it's St. Louis, New Orleans, Baltimore, DC, and then Chicago is number 5. Wow. Based on population size. So, but these Democrat politicians are saying it's not a big deal. But to actual people who are being hurt, people who have lost loved ones. It's a huge deal. And to see Democrats say, no, we don't want you to provide a fix, or we don't want you to provide some type of temporary attention to this, it's insane. But here we have in this next clip a Chicago woman talking about how she was attacked recently. This is by a repeat offender. This is clip 8.
13 mugshots of Livingston going back to 2012. A large number of those arrests for aggravated assault and battery of both women and police officers, something Miles found out after the fact.
Like, what is enough? What does someone have to do where they're going to be held accountable?
According to online records, Livingston's history of random acts of violence against women goes back 8 years. In 2017, he was accused of randomly attacking 2 women months apart. Both cases were dropped. In 2022, Livingston was sentenced to 5 years in prison after prosecutors said he punched and attempted to rob 4 women within 20 minutes in the Loop. And yet, just 14 months later, in 2023, while on parole, Livingston was arrested for hitting a woman in the face on North Michigan Avenue. And in 2024, he was sentenced to 100 days in prison after punching a 15-year-old girl, also on North Michigan.
Wow. I mean, that is crazy. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that?
I wanted that lady, she said, what are you supposed to do? Or who's held accountable? I forget what she said exactly. I'll tell you who's held accountable. If you were white and if you were a cop and you shot or you hurt someone, those are the times when you are held to the utmost accountability in many of these cities run by Democrats. That's number one. Number two, as far as the desensitization, you know what I've gotten a little desensitized to? I've gotten a little desensitized to Black people whining and saying that they're always the victims and it's always the man who's doing something, holding them down. Many of these crimes are committed by Blacks on Blacks, okay? Unfortunately, and many of those are men. So I'm desensitized to all of this whining and bitching and moaning. When you're the ones out here in your cities in particular, I know I'm going to get some pushback. Well, white people commit, absolutely. Every group commits crimes, but we're talking about in predominantly Black areas or minority, majority areas, if you will, predominantly run by Democrats and in many cases by people that look like us on this panel. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. You are the ones who are maiming and murdering each other, and your progressive politicians give zero. In fact, I'm going to repeat what I said a long time ago. Progressive policies pulverize. Do you know what pulverize means? It means to grind up and to make putrid, if you will, or to make into this pulp, if you will. That's what they do. Their policies pulverize the people they purport to protect. That's why Chicago is burying 500 plus. Baltimore was burying 300 plus a year, and other cities. Unfortunately, if you don't give a damn and you keep, a thumb in your nose at the help that's there, President Trump, sure, he has some legal and constitutional, barriers to prevent him just bringing the National Guard into cities carte blanche. But if the help is there and they're not even willing to take it because they are so fixated against this man and anything, this tells you where your vote really goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get you in here, Logic, I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. Thank you all so much. We have Gimpy with the $5 super tax. Says Logic finally got 1 second. It says Logic finally got unpacked and stopped looking fancy homeless. All right. Thank you so much, Gimpy. All right, with your $5 super chat. Yeah, so Logic, I just don't understand the mindset of Black people in these communities, in these cities, that are thumbing their nose up at President Trump sending in the National Guard. I mean, we saw how it's worked wonders in DC. You see these people complaining every time somebody gets shot or killed or whatever. That's my baby, not my baby. All this type of stuff. And then when President Trump is going to send in the help, they don't want it. What's going on?
So this is why we got to bring back Shane. My first question is, where are the men that really are standing up and want to defend the community, all communities, for that matter? But we've been, kind of exploring, this idea on Just the Guys. First, it's the infiltration of communism, particularly in the Black community. I'm actually going to read part of communist goal number 42, which is to create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition. So when you hear that media narrative saying, well, crime isn't that bad, or these homicide rates are low, this is actually a communist objective to kind of desensitize you, to that fact. And the other question, like, where are the services? And the reason they want to push back oftentimes is because they declared this as a public health crisis. Why? Because public health crisis before President Trump got elected was a moneymaker. When you declare something as a public health crisis, instead of using law enforcement money or resources like that, you get to direct other funds, like, public health funds, things that would go to things like cancer research or something like that, to direct it to crime. So now you're supposed to have all these wraparound services. So as you reduce crime, you're actually eliminating a certain industry, particularly with the nonprofit sector, that a lot of these, people want to get rich off. And so you're messing with their money ultimately.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You are exactly right. We have another super chatter here. Folks, thank you so much. Let's see here. We have Chadwick with the $5 super chat says, at the S-Files, happy birthday. Oh, it's S-Files' birthday. Happy birthday. S-Files is our moderator, our amazing super moderator, S-Files. Please wish her a happy birthday today. And I really hope you have a wonderful week.
I got a little song, just one line.
Happy birthday.
I want to say happy birthday to you. That's it.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Happy birthday, S-Files. Hope you had a great weekend. All right. Yes, indeed. Well said, Logic. Well said. And here's President Trump with a true social post about Chicago. This is image 2. Here it says at least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far. Pritzker needs help badly, but he doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. Make America great again. I love it. I mean, how is this racist, Shelley? How is this racist?
It's only racist because Orange Man Trump said it. That's why. Again, and these people are basically racing to the top. Oh, well, no, we're not the worst. Somebody else is the worst. Really? You want to stake your claim on being the worst or not the worst, if you will, second or third in place for the highest murder rates and the highest number of murders in a year. These are relatively young lives, if you will. Most of them, again, any one of them is deplorable, is disgusting, is heart-wrenching. But these people have no shame. They are only concerned about their power. And I will tell you one more thing that they don't want to hear. They don't like Trump, and they certainly don't like or want more cops on their streets. This is all a smoke screen. All they want to do is, again, they want to say, oh, help us. But no, we can't help Trump, and we don't need more cops. We want to offer these wraparound services that don't work. And all they do is they wrap around, okay, they revolve because they put people back on the damn streets to commit more crimes.
Absolutely. And here's Chuck Schumer in 2019 talking about Baltimore and these other cities with rampant shootings. This is clip 7A.
Now, on Tuesday afternoon, our country suffered another shooting, this time in Highlands Park, Colorado. It was the second shooting of the week, following a weekend where at least 19 people were shot in Baltimore, 16 in St. Louis, 28 in Chicago. Madam President, my grandson is less than a year old. He turned over in his crib last night, a great accomplishment. But on a serious note, I don't want him to live in a world where this is the norm. I don't want him to see this on TV every other week.
We don't either. And the thing about it is, Logic, President Trump is sending in the troops to get crack down on this crime. And this is saving Black and brown people. So people always say, oh, well, he's sending in troops because this is a Black city. Well, yeah, that's not the reason he's sending them in, but he's saving Black and brown lives too. What about that?
I mean, so you got to remember, Harriet Tubman once said, right, I would have freed more slaves if only they knew they were slaves. It's like, don't fix, I don't want you to fix my problem. I want to fix my problem. But one thing that we know is that you can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created. But this is nothing new. This is, it's shocking when you start waking up, when you start seeing truth for what it is. But it's nothing new. When the America went through the American Revolution, there were people that still wanted to be under the British crown. When slavery existed, and we're exploring this idea on Just the Guys, there were slaves that wanted to still be slaves, right? I mean, and there's Library of Congress records of those people advocating, for slavery. But and what it also shows is that people don't really want freedom in a lot of cases. They just want more comfortable chains, right? And that oftentimes is, well, if the murder rate drops by a little bit, I'm happy. And like the young lady said, like, what is enough? What is enough? And until you get a taste of freedom and safety, like I think what Trump is doing with the National Guard in DC, you really don't know what it's like to just go outside in your neighborhood and feel free, right? You can do it because this is my community, this is my neighborhood, and I know I'm safe. I know I might get shot, but because I'm here, I'm safe. But until you get a sense of being able to walk outside at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., walk your dog, whatever, go for a run 4 o'clock in the morning, like until you know what that feels like, you really don't really understand how to advocate and stand up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of Baltimoreans speaking out about this, local Fox station, Fox 45 News, asked local Baltimoreans what they thought about President Trump sending the National Guard in. Take a look at what they said. This is clip 4.
Well, while many long-timers insist this decision is really about politics, others insist it's really about time. On Federal Hill, where political battles were fought long ago, there's a whole different war.
The dirt bikes, the drug addiction, the drug dealers.
That's about to be fought.
There's complete lawlessness.
Just minutes after the president announced plans to send the National Guard to Baltimore, we planted our soapbox on Federal Hill, opened the mic, and listened.
Right now, I welcome him.
I am livid. I don't think the National Guard is a good idea.
Lately, this community has been vandalized and terrorized, and many long-timers here say the city has done little to help.
You go over to Carroll Park, and before they can play Little League, they have to clean the field of needles.
We need to stop talking about how great the homicide rate is. Quality of life must be dealt with in the city, and it's not being dealt with.
Ultimately, I think it's unnecessary. I think it is a power trip. I think this is for control. I think it will spark outrage from what I've been seeing and hearing out of D.C., that just literally going up to people's homes and just, it's like an invasion of privacy in a sense.
I would see a lot of uneasiness for individuals, mainly of color.
It's still unclear when federal help will arrive, but for now, this city is bracing for impact.
D.C. has shown that the crime rates dropped significantly in a very short period of time.
Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, this is just not how you run a system. This is not how you treat Americans.
I think if we see a reboot and you see that, wow, the city is cleaner, maybe everybody will take a second look that we don't have to be this way.
Many residents remember the last time the Guard was called to Baltimore to deal with the riots almost 10 years ago, and they fear that scene could happen again. We're live tonight. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Bunch of slaves. Now, we did have some people saying they welcomed the National Guard, but then you had some who said no. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
It is a slave mentality. And I think the woman said something about this is going to cause, I don't know, confusion or whatever she said. Well, what the hell do you think you have now? I mean, how much have you ever, you talk about confusion to the utmost, to where it's heart-wrenching. When you hear that your loved one has been snuffed out, you talk about confusion, you talk about chaos or whatever other word that they use. That's what you call emotional distress. That's what you call trauma. When your loved one leaves out in the morning and comes back in a body bag. How about playing the tape? I wish we had it, of Crystal Gonzalez, who just lost her daughter, 2 years ago, I think now, at the January 14th bloodbath that was a party supposed to be. Her 18-year-old daughter, if you could hear her moans, her grieving moans in the background when she came to the place and she saw that it was her daughter that was one of the people that were killed, and I don't know, 18 others or whatever was shot. But
30 was like 30 some, wasn't it? 33.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry, the numbers. But her daughter and another young man were killed. But when she gets there, you can hear the utter groans and moans of her in the background. That's what you call confusion, and that's putting it mildly. It's way more than confusion, but I'm just making the point. That's what you call not safe or stirring up. Okay, fine. If you don't want the National Guard here to come and help you, then why are you people, Carroll Park, wherever else across the country, why are you not demanding on City Hall or whatever that your mayors, Brandon Johnson and JB Pricker, yes. Why are you not demanding that these people use your tax dollars and resources and talk about quality of life? You don't want to do that. For whatever reason, you feel comfortable and placated. That's all they're doing. They are pimping you. They are screwing you. They are burying your loved ones.
Yeah. You saw the video, Logic. How is this even something people feel? I don't even, how some situations or some issues, you see the other side. I don't see it in this situation. Mm-hmm. Only way I can say I can understand people not wanting the National Guard to come in is for a long-term situation. I get that. But I mean, we are in a critical time, a critical situation right now. Yep. This is level 11 emergency. And instead of waiting for systems to get put in place and things, there needs to be some type of mechanism or issue like the National Guard tool to send them out, stop the high crime for a period of time, and then work in long-term goals of keeping the crime down. But I don't understand people who are resisting this.
Well, first off, people are accustomed to a slow-moving government, and what Trump has accomplished in the first 6-7 months flies in the face of that government has to move slow. So people, especially civically uneducated people, are freaking out because they only get their information from what they see on TV or from hearsay. I mean, you saw the young lady saying they're showing up at people's houses and it's an invasion of privacy. Where did you get that from, right? When you talk to these people in D.C., that's not the message at all. So she probably got her home girl or something, so brother, sister, cousin on the phone. And yeah, girl, they invading privacy out here. It's all in where they're getting the information. But this is Baltimore's Baltimore's hive mind display right here. And it's interesting, the people that care, the two sides, the white person or the white people in the video cared about quality of life, when the black people and the people of color, I should say, I don't want to get canceled, the people of color in the video were concerned more about feelings. Like I don't get that part at all, because life matters, right? Once you can't get a life back. Once one is gone, that's the end. And again, because we're so civically uneducated, particularly in places like Baltimore, civics and things like that have been taken out of the education system altogether and replaced with God knows what. You really can't have articulate discussions on these matters. And again, because people are so accustomed to a slow moving government, actually a problem.
Oops. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it froze a little bit.
No, you're there.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Logic. Go on. My computer froze.
No, I was finished.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So 100% agree. 100% agree with you, Logic. All right. So I want to get these super chatters in here. Get you guys' comments. All right. Let's see here. All right. We have Smith Trotter with the $50 super chat. Wow. Thank you so much. We certainly appreciate you. Thank you for your support. We have D Surrey with the $5 super chat. Says, happy birthday, S-Files. Yes, indeed. Thank you all so much. Your super chats go a long way in keeping us online and helping us put out this conservative content. Any amount is appreciated, but all are welcome. All right. So let's I want to change gears just a little bit. Well, before we do, I just want to say, I honestly, how can I say this? To me, if the people of these areas don't want President Trump to send in the National Guard, honestly, I say to hell with them. I really do. I feel like, why is he putting his neck out on the line for people who don't want the help? So if the majority of people in these cities don't want the help, I feel like President Trump should just move on. I really do. But the caveat here is places like here in Baltimore, Chicago, Philadelphia, what's happening is the crime is spilling into areas where there was not high issues of crime. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the surrounding suburbs of Baltimore City, also areas in Baltimore City where they did not have these high break-ins, crime, robberies and things like that. Now they are starting to see the effect of, I'll say, and this may not be politically correct, ghetto gang crime. All right. Mm-hmm. And niggas. So, right. Yeah. And so this is what's happening. And so what we're seeing here is, these people are complaining now. And so this is why we've been saying this on this show for a very long time. Folks in the rural areas, folks in the suburbs who say, oh, we don't care about the cities, let them, implode on themselves. Well, this stuff will eventually come out further and further to surrounding areas and then eventually to rural areas, believe it or not. Because once these people tear up their own areas, then they venture out to the nicer areas and start tearing them up too. So somebody has to get a handle on it. And so that's what's happening. The areas within Baltimore City and the surrounding areas that had never saw crime before are now seeing an uptick in this type of crime. And this is a no-go. Okay.
As my grandmother would say, let me put the little disclaimer on when I say niggers. My grandmother would say, God rest her soul, niggas can be any color. They don't have home training. They think that what is yours is theirs and they don't care. They will take it. They will hurt you, knock you down. They will murder you to get it. That's what the attitude of a nigger is. So all of you out there, you got your little feelings. When I say nigger, that's what I mean.
All right. Yeah. And I hope that it's not a majority of the people in these cities, but from people I just personally talked to and from the news reports that we're getting, and maybe it's perhaps a situation where we're just hearing the loudest voices. You all tell me what you think. Logic, do you think that more people want him to send in the National Guard than not?
Yeah, if you go into the Facebook groups and the local news comments, there's a lot of people wanting Trump to send the National Guard into Baltimore. But what you are seeing are the loudest voices. Of course, down on Federal Hill, Fox 45 kind of has a bit of a reputation in Baltimore City as being right-leaning and what have you, and also a Fox affiliate. People don't know the difference between Fox Baltimore and Fox News, the national company, so they just lump them into one. So when it comes down to speaking to them directly, you may just see the loudest voices just saying what they want to say to kind of provide a counter narrative to maybe what Fox 45 would provide. But there are a lot of people in the city in Baltimore wanting the National Guard to come in. They're clamoring for some change, because when people go outside, they don't feel safe. There are some areas that have gotten better, but it's still, people do feel unsafe. And to speak to this crime thing, I do believe you can mark it here. You can say I said it, but this is the Wire 2.0. What we're seeing in Baltimore City. I don't think, we all know the crime stats are being. We know they're being adjusted, manipulated. But also, when you're seeing the crime kind of spill out, I do think that is kind of by design, to get Baltimore's crime numbers down as well, right? So there's just one strategy or tactic being used, is saying, hey, I don't want y'all doing crime in Baltimore City, and this on the state level, because they're partners, Moore and Brandon Scott, they're partners, so they still have this kind of catch and release. If you get caught, you're not even going to go to booking, really. You're just going to go back home, especially if you're a juvenile. So I think it's part of a bit broader strategy.
Absolutely, folks. This is Logic from Just the Guys podcast. You guys got to go over and subscribe at Just the Guys podcast. They are live every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. They really dig in to these issues on a micro level. Great podcast, all guys. So they give you a conservative perspective from a male point of view. Shelly, what were you about to say?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I was going to say President Trump, I think it was today or yesterday, he sort of acknowledged that he probably will go to Louisiana, where he's been invited by the mayor of New Orleans. And so I think he even realizes that, legally, constitutionally, you cannot just bring the National Guard to all of the cities that you want. I get it. But so go where you want it. Go to New Orleans. They need you down there too. I know what you're saying, KJ, and I totally understand. Let these people, if they don't want the help, then it's basically you starve. I don't know how many of you all saw that with what's his name? PBJ, Patrick Bet David, I think, or PBD, that surrounded whatever that forum was, and he basically told a couple of the guys there, I have a job for you, or I can help you with your resume or whatever. They pushed back. They didn't have a job. So he was offering, I will hire you, whatever. If they don't want the help, unfortunately, I do realize in saying that innocent people are still going to be killed and harmed. I get that. But at some point, I don't know where the balance is. I don't know. I'm not saying I had that answer. I just don't know. But I totally understand. If you don't want the help, then damn it, move to where you are. Kick up your heels and go to where you are needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but that then should be, go back to that civic engagement piece where people should be calling, for the help as well. But what has happened, particularly in places like Baltimore, the mayor, Brandon Scott, has, his voice is the only one that matters. And people have a level of political apathy that they feel like when they speak up, nothing's going to happen anyway. So why speak up? So I think we do need to see people in the cities either write to their congressmen, write to the mayors, write to, whomever, but to get attention to this, because otherwise nothing's going to happen if you depend on the elected official to get the help.
Absolutely. Well, folks, again, as you all come in, hit that like button. It helps to get our video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. Folks, we are unapologetically American, and it's time for our Unapologetically American segment, where we proudly spotlight American strength, American boldness, and American prosperity. We don't apologize for putting America first anywhere in the world. It's a theme that runs through this show, and one we will always celebrate without hesitation, without compromise. Unapologetically American. And what we want to talk about that is President Trump just confirmed that the U.S. forces struck and destroyed a Trinidad vessel in the Southern Caribbean, killing nearly a dozen narco terrorists moving drugs toward our great country. Take a look. This is clip 9.
When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just, over the last few minutes, literally shot out a boat, a drug-carrying boat, a lot of drugs in that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago. And our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. I think within a month they would have had it if we didn't do what we did. But he gave us a little bit of a briefing, and you'll see. And there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over.
Wow. The United States mighty military, and to stop these drug traffickers from coming into the U.S. That is unapologetically American. Folks, we have these shirts here that we offer. We have them on our YouTube page. If you are unapologetically American, get your t-shirts just like we are unapologetically American. It's a great way to support America first and to talk about how to show you're unapologetically American. That's the back of the shirt. Do we have the front? Yes, there it is. Unapologetically American. You can get it in multiple colors. I love the black tee. And it's a great way to support the show, and then also to support our America First, goal, here, and President Trump's policies there. And even if you're not a Trump, you know, some people may not be a Trump person. We are, but if you're not, you still should be unapologetically American. You should be America first, anywhere in the world. And so definitely get your shirt. You can grab that on the YouTube page right there at the home page. There's a link and you can shop away. All right. So let's talk about what he did there. So in a Truth Social post, he said the strike occurred on my orders in international waters with U.S. Southern Command's jurisdiction and resulted in 11 terrorists killed. Shelley, what are your thoughts?
Well, this goes under my NSL policy. No sleep lost. In fact, I will probably sleep better. I was all for it. And for those of you who say, well, you know, they didn't do anything or they weren't harming Americans. So yes, these people, these cartels have contributed to lots of damage and mayhem and dead people on American soil. We've had over 100,000 deaths due overdoses in 2021 alone. Granted, there's some other factors there, but I'm not losing sleep over dead cartel leaders, not to mention the mayhem that they cause when people travel to Mexico or try to cross the border. I mean, the human trafficking, the money laundering, the deaths just from the drugs. No sleep lost. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And I pray to the Lord, maybe he kept their souls, but I will sleep even better tonight.
Yeah, logic. I mean, TDA is designated a foreign terrorist organization by Trump earlier this year. It's tied to the Venezuelan government and dictator Nicolas Maduro, and linked to mass murder, sex trafficking, and drug smuggling across the Americas. I mean, this is President Trump putting America first. What are your thoughts?
This is how a father defends his home, right? I mean, that's point blank. I think, Trump is just providing a master class on what it looks like to defend your home. Like, you don't allow anything that's going to harm your family into your home. But the other point of this is the hood should be happy about this. The hood should be extremely happy. I mean, when you think about the crack epidemic in the 80s, and they talked about how, the drugs were infiltrated into the hood, and they say this was the government doing it to destroy families and to break up homes and things like that. this is the government now in Trump actively saying, no, you're not going to break up our homes anymore. No, you're not going to break up our communities anymore. So the hood should be, this should be a riot in the streets, right? This is what people should be, celebrating. But, people kind of justify, well, the drugs are kind of going down, overdose are going down, instead of saying, hey, look, we're not allowing that in here anymore.
Yeah, I don't know where they're seeing it either. I mean, we just had a massive overdose here in Baltimore City. I mean, as Shelley mentioned, roughly 80,000 Americans died of drug overdose in 2024 alone. Mm-hmm. So in recent weeks, the U.S. Navy has deployed warships to the waters near Venezuela as part of Trump's mission to counter drug trafficking. He is not playing around, folks. Shelley, your thoughts?
I say, look, not only was it a strategic, and I'm for it, it also sends a message to the other cartels. President Trump is not playing with you all, okay? This is America first. He is protecting the American soil first, by sea, by land, by air, come up mountains or whatever from Canada or even in the southern border. He's protecting our country first. Drug cartels, no, we don't want you here. We do not need you here, and you will just get bombed out in your watery graves. I'm for it.
I just love the way he presents it though, man. He's always just calm. He's like, yeah, this is what we did. Yeah, they died like some dogs. Yeah, but they're not going to be terrorizing our communities anymore. I just love the way how simple to the fact, straightforward with it is. But Trump is defending home, and I love to see it.
That's it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, switching gears, we want to go back to this CNN broadcast where Ben Shapiro and Scott Jennings just wrecked shop. I mean, they made the CNN panelists look like idiots, the idiots that they are. So here in this next clip, Anna Kasparian, she's the host of the leftist show, The Young Turks, got into a heated debate with Ben Shapiro and Scott Jennings, and she just got floored. Take a look. This is clip 10.
Our national debt shot up significantly after 9/11, after we started invading countries in the Middle East.
You should look at a chart.
Now we're at 30s.
In 2008,
we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel, on Ukraine. I mean, honestly, these foreign conflicts have a lot more to do with our national debt as opposed to us paying into
You think Israel is a bigger portion of our budget than Social Security, Medicare,
I think we
Medicaid?
spend way too much money on military aid for foreign countries.
You think
Absolutely.
Israel is more
Do
than
you
Social
think
Security?
that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
As a matter of expenditures and math, yes.
Both entitlements and
Wow. So did you see Scott Jennings laughing at her? And Ben Shapiro was like, are you serious? But this is the left. They're passionate. They shout. They get so emotional over issues, and they are literally without fact. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that exchange?
Okay, so let me say this, and I'm going to say it as clearly as I can. While I understand Anna, whatever her last name, Kasparian, I think I understand her. I'm going to say her sentiment, if you will, or her thinking. I've heard her speak about this on other shows. Again, I'm not quoting her. I'm paraphrasing what I understand. I think her focus is that the U.S. focus, we need to basically stop funding foreign countries, stop sending our money there. We have many issues here at home that we need to worry about. I'm going to give her that, and that I've seen her talk about this on other shows. However, I don't think she understood. I don't know if she understood or she just didn't, I guess, buy it, what Scott was saying. As a percentage of our budget, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and defense make up a significant more than the percentage that we give to Israel. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I know that she said Israel, and I know many people may not even agree with me, but okay, I don't care. My question that I left there, maybe we'll talk about this. Just because she said Israel, and I think she mentioned Ukraine, my question is, anytime anybody says anything that seems to go against Israel, just asking the question, why does it have to be, oh, you're anti-Semitic? That's just what I came away with. We're talking about, I know she's talking about the budget, and I know people are jumping on her for that. That's what I saw, at least a part of what I took away from this.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear anyone call her anti-Semitic on the panel. Did you?
No, I didn't hear that. I'm just saying I didn't hear that on that panel. I'm just saying, but the fact that she brought up Israel and she did mention Ukraine, it seems to me that that's what it was working up to. No, I didn't hear anybody call her that on that panel.
Okay, yeah, because I think, well, just to talk about what you just said about the anti-Semitism, I mean, she has a hard one for Israel. This isn't the first time she's come out. She's always throwing Israel in somewhere, anywhere she can. She throws in Israel. So if people are, saying, I didn't hear, no one said on that panel that she was anti-Semitic, but she does bring up Israel a lot. And so the whole clip is on CNN. It's a 3-minute long clip. I encourage the audience to watch the full clip because you get a lot more context. They were actually talking about the Social Security, and Ben Shapiro was talking about possibly increasing the age of receiving Social Security. And so that's what they were talking about. So again, this is why it made it to me even more outrageous that she brought up what she did when there's no way near the two Social Security, all of the Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare receive far more in the budget than defense.
Exactly.
Roger, what are your thoughts?
Well, when you think about Social Security, though, when it was started, there was about 35 workers to fund one person that receiving Social Security. Now, the reason that the expenditure is shot up so much is because now there's 2 people to fund every one person receiving Social Security, right? So I think it is valid to bring up, the cost of Social Security when it comes to percentage of spending, because it is taking up a lot of the tax money, and it's almost like the biggest Ponzi scheme, that's out there, because a lot of us will never see it, and that's why discussing the age of when you can receive it, because now you're putting it into it longer, so that kind of helps offset some of the costs. I think that's why that's in the conversation. But then when you bring up a foreign country or some of the other things, like even talking about defense spending, like we still have to defend our home country, because it's not like this is a set and forget type of country. I mean, freedom has been attempted to be destroyed by any means necessary. And I think it's important for us to really go back to that level of civic conversation, understanding America's founding, understanding the influence of communism and what that means. Because when you really understand the enemy, you are going to spend money on defense, right? So I think this, and the other part, I think it's starting to be cool again to bring logic in the conversation, pun intended. But it's starting to be cool again to actually bring up facts and figures instead of just relying on the emotion. And I think we're really starting to see that shift in the conversation as well.
Yeah, let's talk about facts and figures. So in 2024, Social Security accounted for 21% of the federal budget, totaling $1.5 trillion. Defense spending, meanwhile, made up 13% of the budget, or $872 billion. That's less than 1% of the budget was allocated to international programs, including humanitarian aid. By far, the most significant portion of the federal budget in 2024 was allocated to health insurance, that was 24%, and Social Security. So again, her saying that made absolutely no sense. But when you couple her previous interactions on CNN and on her broadcast, she is rampant about Israel. So we know why. I mean, she always brings it up. She was trying to bring it up because Ben Shapiro was there, and she literally got face stomped because she did not make any sense, and they laughed at her. They literally laughed at her.
Again, I'm not here to defend Ann. I think she does her own defense well. I don't think she did it because Ben was there, because we have seen her do it on other shows. So I don't think it was just because Ben was. This is her
Well,
shtick,
I mean, in context to what they were actually talking about.
I think her point was that she was trying to say, I think, again, maybe she didn't do it well, or maybe I'm misunderstanding to a degree. But I think part of her point, at least, was that we have enough problems here in our budget, our deficit, the fact that we take in, again, these programs, health insurance, Social Security, they take up a big portion of our budget. Why are we sending money across seas? Again, she brings up Israel, whatever. But I get her big point. I would say I can agree with that. We spend money overseas, maybe in areas that we don't need to. Let's focus on home. That's number one. Number two, to your point, Logic, to your point about freedom needing to be defended. One of the ways that our government is literally like an octopus in our lives is through our income, whether it's income taxes, whatever. This is how the government has a foothold in our lives, and it was never supposed to be that way. When you can have people, if you will, by the neck, related to their finances, they don't have money to reinvest in themselves, or they have to spend more time trying to account for every penny they spend to the government, but the government does not do the same in reverse. So this is one of the ways our freedoms, if you will, are severely curtailed. We do have huge social net programs that we probably will never see and that our money goes into. So where is the return on investment? Those are the questions that we really should be asking, even for our home-based programs.
I agree. And I don't think it's under question, particularly with Ben Shapiro and Scott Jennings, how the national debt is astronomical and we want to bring that down. And so we want to bring down spending in all areas. They've been, especially Ben Shapiro, he's been absolutely hawkish on debt spending and things like that. But I think in this conversation, she was just dead wrong. She was just incorrect on what she said. We have image 3 here, shows the aid to Israel. So you can see there, it talks about what we spend there, right? And then we also have the next slide, which shows the Social Security. So it's definitely a big difference there. Now, again, I agree. I think that we need to bring back the spending, not so much on defense, because I think right now in this time period, with the world so volatile, I'm for amping up our defense budget. But as far as our aid, humanitarian aid to Israel, aid to Ukraine, I definitely think that needs to come back. But I don't think what's talked about enough is what we get from Israel. Israel is the cybersecurity place. It's like the biggest cybersecurity place in the world. Mm-hmm. It's also our only ally in that region. And that goes a long way in assisting us, but we don't really talk about that often enough. It's always about what we're doing for Israel, And I definitely understand, we need to maybe cut back on that, but we get a lot from them as well as being our only ally in a region that is up in opposition to us.
I mean, Israel has I don't know how many countries that are against it, surrounded. And I've been to Israel. I love Israel. I actually am in cybersecurity, and I was there for that. And like you said, KJ, it is like cybersecurity capital. I mean, everybody's there. Intel, Google, all the cybersecurity vendors, everybody's there because research. These guys are some of the smartest in the world. They come out of the IDF and go right into cybersecurity. So, it is really cool, man. So
yeah, and to be honest, I'm not necessarily advocating that we need to reduce Israel per se, right? I'm saying we just need an accounting of where our money is going, what we are getting in return. I think we have that new bill that President Trump signed for Saudi Arabia. Actually, Saudi Arabia is going to be spending or having more in arms spending than Israel. I think it's $142 something billion versus Israel having $53 billion for arms spending of whatever the money they get. I mean, this has been a cumulative time over years. I'll say because it's 53. It's cumulative over the years. But I just want an accounting for the most part of what we're getting, where our money is going. Certainly with these domestic programs, the foreign programs, again, Israel's a drop in the bucket. What are we getting in return for Israel? Someone put in the comments about Israelis having a better quality of life. In many ways they do. But what are we getting for our money? When are we going to start getting the accounting, the full accounting? We're not going to see Social Security for the most part, but our taxes are our money is heavily taxed, our income, to the point where we are really hurting ourselves because we can't reinvest our own damn money.
Can I put that number though in perspective? You said 3.8 billion is sent to Israel. So let's put that into perspective just a little bit. Baltimore City Public Schools has a $1.4 billion budget. So 1.4 billion for a school system of 72,000 kids. Baltimore City's budget is $4.1 billion a year. So, we're sending money to a country, that one city in the U.S., right? When you think about how much money it is in scale, one city in the U.S. has a bigger budget than what we're sending to Israel.
Well,
all right.
Of course.
And actually, I just found an article that talks about the aid allocation given to Israel. So actually, a large portion of this aid is used to build U.S. weapons. So according to this article by the New York Post, the majority of U.S. aid, approximately $3.3 billion annually, this is under the 2016-2028 Memorandum of U.S. of Understanding, is the uses are for. Let me see. Israel uses FMF to purchase systems like F-35 fighter jets, heavy transport helicopters, refueling planes, and precision guided munitions for the U.S. So the U.S. ensures Israel's military superiority over neighboring countries, supporting systems like the Aero Missile Defense Program and advanced radar technologies. So this is where the majority of these the military aid goes to. Also building weapons for the U.S.
Right. So I'm not saying that we necessarily we should reduce Israel. That's that foreign military financing program that they've been under. I think, whether I forget the year, but cumulatively, at least for the last 10 years or so, it's been over 300 billion. That's just to Israel. We just signed a bill, or President Trump did, for Saudi Arabia, $142 billion over time. That's what they're going to be for that same program, the military arms purchases that they're going to be doing. I'm saying that Americans, as an America first, as an American, I want a full accounting of our dollars. That's it. That's all. I mean, that's not just it. And I want it back, particularly Social Security. I want my portion back so I can invest in myself. But we're not getting a return on investment, certainly on these domestic programs. We're not. I bet almost every one of you in our chat audience, you probably have a loved one or someone, maybe who receives Medicare for maybe a nursing home services or home aid assistance, and the Medicare does not cover the cost of what they need, yet they paid into it all their lives. These are the things I'm talking about. This is over the top. Our government was never meant to have this much power, influence, and encroachment in our lives.
Absolutely. Well, you guys sound off in the chat. What do you think about this? Excuse me. Who do you agree with? Was it Ben Shapiro or was it Anna Kasparian? Sound off in the chat and let us know. Moving right along, we want to go next to Megyn Kelly. So recently, there's been a lot of press surrounding the governor of Maryland, where we are here, Wes Moore. He was on a yacht, on George Clooney's yacht over the weekend, while, of course, Baltimore City was pummeled by crime. Take a look. This is clip 7.
So he's basically saying, I don't want your help. I know Baltimore's got, I think, the 5th highest murder rate in the country. I don't want your help. Don't send any troops here. But as he's like saying that, and people are getting shot and killed in his city, he's on George Clooney's yacht over on Lake Como, Italy, which I'm sorry, I'm sure it's very nice to get the George Clooney invite. Apparently he wasn't there, Clooney. So it's just they had the mansion and the yacht to themselves.
That's even better.
But of course,
like
for us.
The resources of George Clooney without having to deal with George Clooney,
It'd be better for us. I think probably somebody like Wes Moore would like to spend time with him. But that's a nightmare. I mean, that actually could come back to haunt him as he potentially runs. But like, your state was hurting.
All right, so let's get into it. I mean, basically that's what happened. So on Monday, Wes Moore, Maryland governor, and his wife were photographed on a luxury yacht owned by actor George Clooney on Lake Como, Italy. They were also staying at Clooney's Villa Alejandra, a $100 million estate in Laglio. Thoughts on this, Shelley?
Well, from that picture, even she looked bored. I mean, his chest was not impressive. And, he just wanted to be ass out or half ass out. She even looked bored. Okay, whatever. He irks me because he's so phony. He's so gay. I don't know if he has a male boyfriend. I use gay like sort of effeminate. Let me say it that way. He gets on my damn nerves. That's number one. Number two, I agree. This could come back to haunt him nationally. In Maryland, I don't think it's going to make a bit of a damn difference, unfortunately, except with us, in Maryland, people like us. But he can go and gallivant over in Lake Como and in the yachts and on the mansions, while again, somebody is just burying their loved ones again tonight. What difference does it make? It's not affecting him because he has 24/7 taxpayer security. And again, Dawn still looked bored.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the optics are that bad, Logic? Now, again, reports noted Baltimore recorded over 2,500 crimes in the 17 days following Trump's National Guard deployment to D.C., including 6 homicides, 9 rapes, 426 assaults, and 271 aggravated assaults. So these figures were used sort of to criticize Moore's absence during the time of heightened crime.
Well, I mean, so first off, we call him Zestmore. So that's Zestmore. But it really depends on this constituency if this matters, right? And I don't see as many people in Maryland complaining. Now, if he's looking at the national stage, then yes. And especially I think it'll be very interesting when you see people starting to accept Trump's help and seeing constituents appreciate the help, and then see what Wes Moore was doing when he was offered the same help and refused it. So from a national stage, I think that does create a different a view for him, and it really could hurt him. But it's also, this is one of those moment in times. What have you done for me lately? This could be forgotten next week with our 24-hour and probably like 15-minute now news cycle. This is not a story next week. So this might surface back up. I mean, he's dealing with the Bronze Star. I mean, he has a lot of issues that he has to face, and maybe he needed a little vacation from the media pressure that he's been getting as well. So I don't know if he's helping himself or hurt him, to be honest.
Yeah, that Bronze Star controversy, that was, for you guys who may not know, the yacht story coincided with scrutiny over Moore's military record, particularly claims he allowed himself to be introduced as a Bronze Star recipient without correction. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this guy, these Democrats, they're so phony and fake, and they're so inauthentic. And they continue to try, just like Kamala Harris, they try to put out this public-facing figure of themselves, and it's not real. They're all going off of talking points, off of, talking points fed to them by their handlers. And this is why they're rejected. This is why Kamala Harris was rejected. Same with Wes Moore. I mean, he's going to be rejected nationally if he decides to run nationally because he's a fake and a phony. He's
a liar. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is he's a liar, right? I mean, he wrote a book called The Other Westmore, where he describes, his childhood growing up in West Baltimore, and then another Westmore that grew up in West Baltimore. Now, the first time Westmore was in Baltimore he was in like college or something like that. So he was an adult, and he's also, the Bronze Star, just a lie, right? He's carried the lie for so many years, 20 years. Like, you carried this lie for almost 20 years, which is crazy to me. And then the big lie now is, no, I'm not running for president. But everything he's literally doing is everything a potential Democrat presidential candidate would do. I mean, they also, the left and the Democrats generally like to talk about politicians going through the ranks. Westmore came out of nowhere. So he's another one that was groomed into this position, right? He came out of nowhere and became the governor of Maryland. And, he ran a nonprofit, or I don't know what he was doing, but he was getting his training in. And he has a history of lies. So, we'll see where that leads him, but this is lie more, zest more, whatever you want to call them, tax more, because I looked at my taxes, my energy bills, all this stuff is through the roof. So we'll see how he plays on the national stage, but right here is a warning to what this guy really is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And as you mentioned, they're all fake and phony. Here's a clip of Jasmine Crockett. I mean, she doesn't know who she is. She 1 minute she's Miss Ghetto Girl, and the next she's prim and proper. This is clip 5. Take a look.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true, because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
Oh my gosh. She looks like a thawed bag of ground beef. I mean, she looks terrible. And
she needs a better bra.
Worse. Oh God. Before we get into this, I want to acknowledge our super chatters. Folks, thank you all so much. We appreciate you all. Brown Eyes with the $5 super chat says, this is off topic. Newsom is pushing Proposition 50 here in California, rallying against Trump. We must come together so that he will not become president. We are right with you here, Brown Eyes. Thank you so much. Sonia C with the $5 super chat says, communities of crime needs to continue to receive the government funding. If the crime is cleaned up, zero funding is given. You said that, Logic. I believe you said that about, or was it when you said that about the nonprofit scheming? Yeah. We have another one here. Rodney Stewart with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. All right. Says because Logic on the show. Oh, the cousin.
That's
Logic
my cousin.
on the show. Love you guys. I am watching.
Oh, thank you, cousin.
Shout out,
cousin.
cuz. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Out of
Nice.
Kentucky.
Oh, wow. Thank you so
boy.
much for the support.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. Kamala Harris, Jasmine Crockett, Wes Zessmore. This is the Democrat Party. They're fake, they're phony, they're liars. The first video you saw of Jasmine Crockett, where she's speaking clearly, was like a year or two ago, before she got all this fanfare. She's speaking like an educated woman as she's supposed to be. Now it's ghetto girl, where, and she's without a bra and the wig's twisted and all this type. Well, her wigs have always been twisted, but this is just, it's ridiculous. But Black folks seem to be eating it up. Shelly, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm going to repeat. She needs a better damn bra. She needs a better half bra. Let me tell you something. Go to Nordstrom's and get measured for one. I'm sure you can afford it. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I take a slightly different approach or different angle. I think what we see now is the real Jasmine, and what she presented to whatever years ago, that was the act, so that she can get elected and be appealing to the people of Texas. I think what we're seeing now, this is her. This is who she is. This is how ghetto and niggerish she is. She doesn't care. Your bra, your boobs, when you're sitting with a half bra, should not be sitting down in your lap. They should not be. You need a better bra, or you might not be able to go without one.
Logic, what are your thoughts on this? I mean,
oh man, I don't know how to follow up the bra comment, man. But I always recommend a book to everyone: Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. She is following the playbook to the T. Her, Wes Moore, Brandon Scott, Brandon Johnson, all of them are following the playbook to the T. Now, for a second, I thought she was attempting to be Tiffany Haddish, but she was, I guess, trying to put on some type of act or whatever to appeal to the audience, and that's kind of how they're fake, because especially if you read Color, Communism, Common Sense, it talks about how the phrase mongers, the ones that kind of repeat it or say these kind of salacious things, they come out with these like little phrases that are easy to digest and repeatable, and they just kind of feed them to the masses. And there was an interesting point though too that we discussed on Just the Guys, especially when it comes to slavery. We actually listened to the voice of a slave and what they had to say as a result. It was one of Jefferson Davis's slaves, and what this gentleman said is, like, after they were free, the compound or the community that they lived on kind of died away, and the reason was because they had no leadership. And when you think about this in question, is like, why do you as a free individual need a community leader per se, right? Families and fathers and stable homes, that's what really leads and drives a community. But and maybe this is one of those kind of legacy of slavery type things, is that the Black community, because that's who she's intentionally trying to cater to, is looking for some form of leadership constantly. And she's out there, she's saying the things that Black people like to hear. She's saying it in a tone that, quote unquote, Black people can digest and understand. So she's trying to prop herself up as a leader in the Black community. So I challenge that we don't need leaders like that per se. We need people that are, one, family oriented, faith oriented, and believe in freedom. And also we need to bring back shame on people like Jasmine Crockett, because it is a shame people like her, quote unquote, in leadership are what's destroying our communities.
Absolutely. And let me just say this, there's a relaxed tone that you can have, a relaxed vernacular that you can have with your family, with your friends. And then there's the professional vernacular that you have. Now, this woman, whether she's talking to a Black crowd or a white crowd, she is a representative in the House, the Congress. Okay. And she is representing her district. She should not be up there talking this way. So, and it's not about being Black. You have Black congressmen, Black leaders, Black people that don't do that. Alveda King, Ben Carson, Byron Donalds, even Candace Owens, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, right? Larry Elder, Mia Love, God rest her soul. Tim Scott, Wesley Hunt.
All Republicans.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you can only talk about Republicans. There are some Democrats. What's the bald-headed one?
No, I'm just saying the point you made is that you'll find most of them on the Republican side.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what I'm talking about. I understand there's a relaxed tone. You the way you talk around your family and your friends, and you may not be all up on the the grammar and things like that. But that is not it. And if that is what you, like you said, Logic, if that is how you connect with urban communities, with Black folk, then I feel so sorry for our community, because we are sad. We are in a sad state of affairs when that bag of ground beef, when somebody said a cow, somebody look like an old cow is being milked.
2 hams.
Right. If that is what it takes to reach our community, we're in trouble, folks. As they said as Whoopi said on Ghost, y'all in danger. Yeah. Y'all in danger.
But do you know who's honest? Like who's I don't think he's like code switching at all. Ben Crump.
Oh,
that man just cannot talk.
No, he's not. That's just his Southern dialect. No, he's not code switching.
Man, so he's gonna talk the same in front of a Black person or a white person, right, in the courthouse, in the street. Like Ben Crump is gonna say he's gonna sound retarded every time.
But that's his Southern dialect. But you're right. He doesn't. But that's the point. He doesn't have to code switch. He is who he is, right? We know he sounds like he does. But Jasmine and others do that, and they primarily do it. Even Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, even if you want to call the white politicians, come into the urban areas, the predominantly Black areas, and they start having Southern drawls and they want to sing the Kumbaya and the old spirituals. They do that all the time. And for the life of me, why do many Black people fall for it?
Yeah, they love it. That's what it is. Long as you dance for them, you bring food. You dance, you do some type of hip hop dance, some type of R&B jig, and you bring the food. They fall right into your lap, and you talk like you talk like some dumb person, And poor Benjamin Crump, like you mentioned, he's not playing around. That is him all day, every day. It's almost like reading a Paul Laurence Dunbar poem.
Right, and
it's really bad.
And we know from experience, I've been told, I know you all have been told growing up, why do you talk like you're white? That's the same trope that we've been hearing when you have a Black person who knows how to speak and you say you know how to speak in front of a public audience or your constituents versus the relaxed kind of shooting the breeze. But these are the kind of things that Black people, this is almost ingrained, unfortunately, into our culture. We tend to say or to see, what do you call it? They call it the crabs in the barrel, but that's not what I'm saying. We don't see the elevating to as a sign of progress. We see it as you trying to be white. Everything is associated with being white. Why can't we just speak well? Why can't we learn how to read and use words correctly with the correct endings and say, why does it have to be white?
Yeah. It's terrible. And then they wonder why people call us monkeys and apes. I hate to say it, but that right there, Jasmine Crockett, the way that she is putting on, she looks like somebody who has no education. She sounds like someone who has no education, who should be in a zoo somewhere. That is what that is. I hate to say it, but it is.
Well, I will say this though, like, I mean, I grew up in the South, and like a lot of people in my family, because I made straight A's all through high school. Graduate at the top of the class. And I was told by my family, you're making us look bad. You're setting the bar too high. These were comments, from people within my family. So there kind of is this expectation that you're supposed to be dumb or you're supposed to not know. And that's relatable because it kind of like justifies or it gives a permanent excuse for whatever it may be. Well, I didn't know. I don't know what it is in the Black community. I think we do need to raise the standards. Yeah,
and we need to. And I'm tired of accepting it. I'm tired of it. We should demand excellence from our community.
Period.
And that right there, what we just saw of Jasmine Crockett is not excellence. We talk about all this DEI hire and all of this type of stuff. Come on, folks. We deserve better than that. We deserve better. Now, it'd be one thing if, I don't agree with her policies and her solutions for the issues that plague our communities. I do not agree with that at all. But she does not have to act that way. And we as Black people should demand more from our elected officials. She should not be able to talk to go in front of a crowd of Black people and talk and act that way. And that should be okay. It makes us look stupid. And I've heard people from the South, it's one thing if that's the way you speak, like Benjamin Crump. I mean, I don't actually think he's, I don't like him at all either. But that's how he does. I know people from the South that have a vernacular and still don't speak as the way she does. You can clearly tell she's putting on, and it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing.
Yep. I remember one time I there was this girl in high school that I liked. My grandmother was trying to hook us up, and I had wrote a letter to her, and like I was using like kid slang. I was putting A's at the end of the words and ER instead of ER and all that stuff. I gave her the letter, and she had went to like some like private school, and like, she was just real well educated. And my grandmother talked to her mom or whatever because she said, well, my grandson's really smart, and I know your daughter's pretty smart. It'll be cool. Man, I got cussed out for that letter because she was like, man, he's so dumb. I thought he was smart. He can't spell. He can't. I was like, man, I was just trying to talk like the kids talk at the time, and yeah, I got my hand smacked for that one.
Yeah, it's a modern day. To me, it's a modern day form of a minstrel show, basically. It really is, and it is embarrassing, KJ. The Ben Crumps of the world, I don't like his dialect, but I do think that's him. That's just him. He might say every other word may sound like he has an education, but I don't think he's faking it, like you said. But it's a minstrel show. It's a form of ignorance. It's a form of I forget what the phrase is, but basically when you are placating to the lower standards, if you will, I forget how you say it, but that's what it is. And too many times in the Black community, I've seen it over and over again. You're acting white, or you're talking like you're white, or people ask me now that you don't sound like you're from Maryland or Baltimore. I don't know what that means, whatever. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, when I grew up, I got some of those same things, but I have to say, thankfully, I didn't really get it from my family, like you got, Giovanni. I got it from people outside of my family, maybe friends, because I was certainly taught in school. In school, we didn't have a choice. We were going to learn. We were going to learn how to speak and write well and conjugate verbs. We didn't have a choice. Our teachers, or my teachers, were that demanding, and many of them looked like us. They didn't play that. When you came to school was a place where you had to use your brain, your time, your talent, and you were going to learn. You didn't have a choice.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, sound off. What do you think about Jasmine Crockett? Are we being too hard on her, or are we right on point? Sound off in the chat. Did I get all the super chats? Okay, yeah, we have another super chatter here. D Suri with the $10 super chat says it looked like Crockett smuggled a couple of hams in that top. I laughed so hard when I saw this. That is hilarious. Thank you so much for that. Yes, indeed. So we will continue to follow this story. Now, speaking of the Democrats, let's talk about what they've been doing, talking about with President Trump. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but President Trump did not make any public appearances, I think, since Thursday up until Sunday. And the Democrat and mainstream media went off about it. Of course, they started saying he's having health problems. And some even went so far to say they hope he had passed away. Take a look. This is clip 2.
You had an opportunity opportunity to ask the president today about this, and you did not. Why?
Well, because when he got on the phone and sounded very much alive, I thought it would sound kind of stupid, frankly, to ask an alive person if they were dead. But I'll tell you who is a complete piece of shit. I'm going to tell you right now.
There have been a lot of swear words at this
Tim
table today.
Walz,
Okay.
the governor of Minnesota, holding up a phone in front of a rally saying, well, we thought we were going to wake up and find out the president had died. Someday it'll happen. Someday it'll happen.
Although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
And I used to say he was the biggest buffoon in American politics, but it's worse now.
Wow. All right, folks, let's get into this. Again, that was Walz, Governor Walz, former vice presidential candidate on the Democrat ticket with Kamala Harris, saying that he hoped President Trump didn't wake up. Shelley, what are your thoughts? Were you surprised by his response?
I don't think I was surprised, because I have long said that the left wants President Trump dead. And they demonstrated it, 2 attempts, certainly, but they have wanted that man dead for a long time. This is beyond ignorance. It's disgusting, number one, to be in that office and to basically advocate for the president, even though we did not like, or I'll say myself, I did not vote for Obama. I didn't vote for Joe Biden. I certainly was not going to vote for Kamala Harris. I would never advocate for their death or to be gleeful about them dying. Particularly for some tragedy, a sudden death or whatever. No, I would not be. So this is a new thing, if you will. It's new. It's ignorance, and these are the same people, the left, who will go around telling us words matter, words are dangerous. You can incite people, and you can do things with the words you use. Be careful. They have zero qualms. They want President Trump dead, certainly, and these are the same people who will accuse you exactly of what they're doing.
Yeah. Exactly. Before I get you in on this logic, I want you to take a look at this next clip. Again, they are advocating and lying, trying to say that President Trump has all these health problems. This is clip 3.
I think cover up is such a loaded phrase. I never saw that person, not a single time. And I was in the Oval Office every day that was on that debate stage. I'm not a doctor. He was a person who told a very long story in the Oval Office, but that was the case 30 years earlier, right? So how do you differentiate? I don't know. Cover up is a very loaded term. It's a bit of a dangerous term. He had been basically absent from the public eye since last Tuesday. And that absence, and you may have seen this over the weekend if you looked at any social media platform, prompted quite a wave of online speculation about the president's health and well-being. We may never know why Donald Trump's suddenly spent a week hiding entirely from the American public.
Wow. So, logic, how can anyone believe these people, particularly that human used sanitary pad? How can anyone believe them?
Well, they can. I mean, if you looked at the first clip, you saw the eyes being very, very, very shifty. So that's kind of one tell there. But part of me wants to say, it was like, oh, they really care, because Trump's been working nonstop for at least the past year and a half. Every day there was a camera on Trump. There was a microphone in front of Trump. And he's gone for a couple of days and you're concerned. Well, I mean, you are concerned, but the evil is starting to show. The fruit of this tree that was planted long ago, when you start desensitizing words and desensitizing points of view, or saying, like, wishing someone death, that was never a thing that you did. So we are seeing the results of how people are comfortable saying these things just for someone it's cool to not like. Not that they don't like them per se. It's just cool to not like them. There was an article in the New York Times not too long ago that said that Trump's secret weapon was empathy, right? When people go and meet with Trump, like he's able to, just talk with them, see where they are. And there's been a couple of clips, even when Trump commented on Wes Moore saying, this guy's, these guys like knocking the hell out of me. He was seeing it in an empathetic way, saying like, I know that's part of the game, what have you. But with the way these people respond is really showing how really evil and sensitive and how personally they're really taking everything. But this seed, Shelley, you had mentioned this is new. This is just the result, the fruit of this seed that has been planted. It's really communism. The seed that's been planted to say things like this, wishing death, that's a form of evil, plain and simple.
Yeah. Shelley, what are your thoughts? I mean, we have here Jen Psaki, who was the White House press secretary, saying Biden was, sharp as a fiddle. He had no issues. And now, she's calling out President Trump for missing a couple days when he's talking to the press every day off the cuff. He's not using talking points. He's not reading from a teleprompter. What are your thoughts?
I can sum it up with 2 words: fake news. That's it. Fake news. She hasn't even acknowledged yet that I've heard her. She hasn't even acknowledged that Biden was basically, down for the count for the most part, that he stayed hidden. She hasn't even acknowledged that yet, even after Jake Tapper's book. He's still trying to play it out, if you will, Jake Tapper, but she has not even owned that. Again, fake news. That's all I can say. The fake news. And you're right, Giovanni. It is evil. It is evil. I'm going to, I've said this before. There's only 2 types of people that I would, if you want to say, wish death on, are murderers and pedophiles. That's pretty much it. The 2 categories I have: right, wrong, and different. That's where I am. Murderers and pedophiles, messing with children, and you taking people's lives, innocent people's lives. Those are the ones I wish the death penalty for. And if they get some other kind of street justice, I'll lose no sleep either. Nevertheless, these people are evil. The left is evil. They don't like President Trump. We know that that's a given. And like you said, it's cool. It's a part of the conformity, the collective culture of their ideology, that they have to be this one big blob, this Borg, if you will, and they all have to think alike and spread the same message. You cannot deviate. If you deviate from the Borg, that is you out for the count. That's basically it. But it's fake news.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. All right. Well, that does it for us tonight. Before we go, gotta ask you all, what are the stories that need to pop? So what are the stories, issues, topics or one story, issue, or topic that aren't getting the coverage it deserves? What's the story? Why isn't it being covered? And why should people pay attention? I want to start with you, Shelley.
I'm going to say what I said a few weeks ago. I actually need to catch up on it as well. The Supreme Court case about the anchor babies or the birthright citizenship. I know a judgment came out, or a ruling came out a few weeks ago, but that was only sort of a partial ruling. It really didn't address the core issue of basically who we are as Americans. So I'm still going to stay on that one.
All right. Logic. What is the story that isn't being covered, and why should people pay attention?
Well, I don't know if it's a story per se, but
or issue or topic.
Yeah. So the issue of slavery, I think, with what was happening with the Smithsonian and kind of how history has been placed in a certain light, I think we should actually go back and really start studying slavery, what it was, what people, and the voices of actual slaves. We have Frederick Douglass and we have Booker T. Washington that have books, but there's so many other resources out there that, give us an insight. And right now what we see is just this kind of narrow-minded view of what slavery is and was. Now, let me be clear. I am not advocating for slavery at all. But if we actually study it, it really gives a real good glimpse into America's history and why it's so great to be an American. and that America was on the leading of slavery ending in the world. I mean, out of all the nations in the globe, America was one of the first. Yet we have this kind of skewed view that America invented slavery. It was founded here, and it was only white people. And I really think from a country unification standpoint, if we really start looking at those issues that we've overcome, that's one of the great unifying elements of our country.
All right. Well, for me, I am following the absurd arrest of I think it's this Graham Linehan in the UK. He was arrested for posting a post on X. And this is something not only we should be as concerned about here in the United States, because it does affect us, but also Christians should be concerned about. And we're breaking this all down tomorrow on Christian Conservative. So guys, if you haven't done so already, please go over to @KJ Christian Conservative and subscribe, where we talk about biblical Christian issues that affect Christians, Christian conservatives. We talk about that, and we're going to talk about this and more tomorrow at 9 p.m. on @KJ Christian Conservative. All right. Along with that, we also have several other channels here on the Metro Conservative Media Network. So we have the All American Talk Show that aired yesterday. So you can go back and watch the recap of that at All American Talk. They are live on live on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Actually 7 p.m. Live at 7 p.m. at All American Talk. And then, of course, we have Just the Guys with Logic. You saw him tonight going over there at Just the Guys Podcast, and subscribe. And again, as I mentioned, at KJ Christian Conservative, that's me, tomorrow, every Thursday and Sunday at 9 p.m. All right, folks. So that does it for us tonight. I believe we have some super chatters here. I thought we had a couple more. I know JT says occasion. I know Shelly and I both are actually battling a cold. So sorry if I was a little off tonight. I'm trying to talk in between coughs. Please forgive me. I see JT says KJ is all discombobulated. I know. Don't
I'll tell you what, our moderators don't miss a thing. They don't miss a thing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for watching, and please excuse me. I've been all over the place tonight. All right, Jessica with a $10 super chat says, my 7th grade English teacher, Miss Mack, was an old and tough Black woman. She didn't tolerate improper grammar. She went hard on us daily. There was no halfway. Yes, indeed, Jessica. I hope all of us have been blessed to have at least one teacher like that. And they really made an imprint on our lives. So I'm right there with you, Jessica. Thank you so much.
We have another one
here. Yep, we do have another one here. DG says, you ladies are fantastic and on point. Thank you so much. All right. Jessica again says, I thank and appreciate the woman to this day. I'm hard on Mackenzie's grammar because of her. All right, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
Also want to shout out S-Files. Want to wish you another happy birthday. We are going to send you a t-shirt coming your way from us for your birthday. You are a great moderator with us, a moderator on all of the shows. We got to send you something. So we'll get your contact information and send you a t-shirt for your birthday. I hope it was a wonderful weekend and an even better week for you.
Thank you.
All right. Any last thoughts, ladies and gentlemen?
Let's take it home.
Follow Just the Guys. We're bringing back shame live on Saturdays at Just the Guys Podcast on YouTube.
All right. That does it for us tonight. We will see you on Friday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.